Do you want to have your query letter critiqued, but you don't want to pay to have that happen? It can be done for free, but it will be public out here on my socials. My name is Gina. I'm an author, editor, publishing professional. I help you make your writing better. If you want to submit, the information on how to do so is in my bio. If you do not want it to be public and you want to pay for this service in private, my information is also in my bio. And if you do not want to wait for either of those very long lines and you want to teach yourself how to do this, I have a class link down below. It's only $30. This is the price of an add-on workshop at a writing conference for 3.5 hours of content, and it includes before and afters of successful client letters who have used my editing service and have gone on to get agents and or publishing deals. Lastly, we are going to be constructive, not destructive, because this is very vulnerable and very difficult, and nobody wants to be told to just go self-publish. That's not how any of this works, so let's dive in. I had the wrong screen up. I saw that you are seeking personalization, and I hope that you will find my novel Off Book to be what you are looking for. Complete at 98,000 words. It is a dual POV contemporary romance about ex-best friends who write a musical together. That is a great pitch. Word count is great. Title is great. All of this is good. It will appeal to readers of Wildfire by Hannah Grace, Reunion by Kayla Olson, and to those who wish La La Land had a happier ending. Okay, so like that end bit is there. We're getting some of the like tropes here. I'm not totally familiar with this specific title, but I'm going to assume based on this one here that you know what you're doing with comp title. All right, when 29-year-old, we don't need ages unless we are talking about like young adult and middle grade, because developmentally an 11-year-old is very different from a 12-year-old, so it matters greatly how old the protagonist is. 29, not as important. This is not functionally so different from a 28-year-old or even like a 32-year-old, so we don't need to include that there. Olivia Turner's boyfriend proposes. She doesn't immediately say yes. This might be backstory. Plagued by abandoned playwriting dreams, nothing about her life in San Francisco is what she imagined. At her old mentor's request, she returns to her alma mater to direct their summer performing arts program, hoping the time away will give her clarity on her relationship and inspire her to write again. Instead, she learns she'll be working alongside her ex-best friend. Okay, this backstory might get to stay. People are constantly asking like, well, okay, but the backstory is all really important. How do I tell you what's important in the query letter if I don't get to include any backstory? And it's not that you can't have any. It's that so many writers rely on way too much of it, and they end up bogging the query letter down with too many details. I don't think we need age here. And I think like boyfriend has proposed, she didn't say yes, plagued by these abandoned dreams, and that's what gets us to like this thing that is like a career change. How did she not know? So we're saying like she learned she'll be working alongside this person, and this would immediately bring up like a question of confusion of like, well, how could you not know who you were going to be working with in this very small community? This is how. So they've included just the details that are necessary to make this like meet cute make sense. And I would say normally a meet cute doesn't need this level of explanation, but in this case you can see how if she like shows that she's got this job of doing this thing and she's working alongside this person, you'd be like, how did you not know? Why is that surprising? That's weird. This is how she didn't know. So they've included what looks to be just the necessary backstory once we lose like the age and maybe tighten up the language a tiny bit, but it feels pretty good. All right. And here, like, you might be like ex-best friend / flame. So this feels very casual. And yes, this is a business letter. This is a business document. But this is also in a very voicey genre. And so this works here. This makes sense. You know your audience. Everything's fine. Andy Stevenson blames himself for the drunken kiss that ended his friendship with Olivia a decade ago. As the university's music director, he's battling for funding with the dean of academic affairs and knows he will cut the department entirely if the summer doesn't bring in the money that they... Okay, so I don't think that we need quite this level of detail here. So he's a university's music director battling for funding. We know the arts are always underfunded. So I don't think we need like this dean of academics to be involved here. I don't think we need specifically this. Well, like we are very familiar with the trope of like this one show is going to save us all. Like, so I don't, and if you are appealing specifically to like musical theater people up here, I don't think you need that level of detail down here. Working alongside Olivia is the second chance he's always craved, especially after he discovered a scandalous bucket list she left behind after they shared their one hot night together. I don't think we need all of that detail. While they agree to put their attraction for the sake of the... So we've got some missing words here. So put their attraction on hold, on ice, something along in those lines in there. Andy hopes to keep her close, suggesting they relive the... Okay, so now we've gone into too much detail down here. So we know that this is a second chance romance. We've already set that up here. He blames himself for the kiss that ended the friendship. He's fighting for funding. This is the second chance he's always craved. And they decide to do a friends with benefits, and you don't have to explain like how he found this list or what this is. So I'm assuming this is like a wish list of sexy times. So he was her best friend. Like, he could very easily have known about this list. He could have helped, like, come up with funny ideas for the list, or fun ideas. Like, I don't think you need this level of detail in this paragraph. We are starting to get bogged down. 98,000 words is on the long-ish side for a rom-com. It's totally reasonable word count. But when we start to see, like, this level of, like, unnecessary detail, now it starts to be like, your opening pages can make a big difference here. If we get through all of this and we're like, oh, this feels a little wordy, I'm going to look at the pages and see how they sound. And so if the opening pages are pretty good, you're probably going to get past the, like, wordy, right? Like, you're probably going to be okay. But why do that to yourself? Why not just, like, polish this up, clean this up, shrink this down to just the bare bones that are necessary? All right, so they're going to combine their talents and write their own musical together. Great. So we kind of knew that, like, what the trope is of, like, the one show's going to save us all. Okay. So she doesn't trust easily. Becoming writing partners brings them closer than ever before. They were best friends. Like, is that true? When she's offered a teaching position that could change the fate of the department, she's not ready to give up her life and relationship in San Francisco. Oh, the school is not in San Francisco? That might be more important information than what we've got here. Disaster strikes during rehearsals, and they put out literal and metaphorical fires at every turn. Okay, so that's funny. The show might not go on and time is running out. Also a good line. Andy and Olivia will have to choose between reaching for the dreams they'd long since forgotten or watching as the past repeats itself. No, you said it was a romance. So we are not actually, like, the musical theater stuff is the backdrop, right? Like, the stakes is the relationship. It's the romance. So we need to reframe this in terms of the relationship. So let's go through those 5 questions. What does she want? She's not totally sure. She wants to pursue her dreams, I think, is what we're going for as, like, her goal here. What is she willing to do to get it? She takes a job and, like, turns down a big relationship. What is standing in her way? Nothing really, because she's taken, right, like, she's taken the steps, right? She has gone and done the thing that she needed to do. So now there's nothing standing in her way. What is she, and then what happens if she fails? Okay, so now that gets tied up in Andy's stakes. So number 5, like, we've got a bunch of this here. So we need to then reframe this as, like, it's not about her not trusting easily. She wasn't happy in that other relationship. This relationship can make her happy. You started off with her not being happy in a relationship. This one could fulfill everything. This would bring her the romance and the partnership that she's looking for in life, while also being able to fulfill these dreams. So we need to reframe these stakes pretty significantly. You got some really great, like, little turns of phrase that show that you understand your genre, you understand your story, that you have worked on the details of it. So we need to just, like, reframe these stakes in terms of that romantic relationship. Let's look at the bio here. My experience includes a BFA in theater, AA in creative writing, minors in poetry and gender studies from Cal State. I built a successful wedding photography career, had the opportunity to tell the love stories of real life couples. Okay, this is how you put credentials in if you don't have any writing credentials. If you haven't sold books other places, a lot of people get really like, well, what am I supposed to do? You know all of this world that you are talking about here. Now, not everyone's going to have these super perfect, awesome credentials, but, like, you might think, oh, my musical theater background isn't important. It is. When you're writing a romance about musical theater. My photography business is important. You're writing a rom-com. Yeah, this matters. Like, include this kind of stuff. This is exactly how you sell yourself as the perfect person to be writing this story.